Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into a truly epic battle of nations, a clash of titans. Look, it's America versus Canada, alright? And we're here to figure out, definitively, once and for all, who is stronger. I know. On the surface, it seems like a foregone conclusion. You've got the muscle-bound, bald, eagle-clutching, freedom fry-eating behemoth that is the USA squaring off against, well, Canada, known for its politeness, its fondness for syrup-based products, and a, frankly, unsettling obsession with geese. But I'm here to tell you, don't let the maple syrup marketing fool you. This is a closer race than many might think. We're talking military might, economic powerhouses, technological innovation. We're even going to delve into the murky, subjective world of quality of life. Because, at the end of the day, is a country truly strong if its citizens are perpetually terrified of their healthcare bills? These are the questions that keep me up at night, people. So buckle up, grab your preferred geographically themed snacks. I've got a whole bag of those little maple leaf cookies, don't judge. And let's settle this. USA versus Canada, the ultimate showdown. Alright, let's start with the obvious, shall we? When we talk about a country's strength, it's hard to ignore the giant, war elephant-shaped presence in the room, the military. And folks, there's no denying it, the USA is packing some serious heat. We're talking the largest military budget in the world, by a landslide. In fact, it's higher than the next 9 countries combined. Combined! That's enough to make even the most battle-hardened general blush. And what are they spending all that money on, you ask? Well, everything from cutting-edge fighter jets and nuclear submarines to, I don't know, probably a whole department dedicated to developing even more terrifying acronyms. Seriously, have you ever tried to navigate the US military's organizational chart? It's like a bowl of alphabet soup, vomited directly onto a PowerPoint slide. But before we hand over the most likely to invade a small island nation for its oil award to the USA, let's not forget about Canada. Sure, their military spending is a fraction of America's, but they're all about that quality over quantity life. Don't let the politeness fool you. Those Canadians know how to throw down. They've got a long and storied military history, from their contributions in World War II to their peacekeeping efforts around the globe. Plus, have you ever seen a Canadian goose in attack mode? Those things are terrifying. I'm pretty sure they could take down a small drone if they really put their minds to it. So, while the USA might have the sheer firepower advantage, Canada's got that scrappy underdog energy. And as we all know from every sports movie ever made, you can never underestimate the underdog. Now let's talk money, honey, because in the global game of risk, economic power is kind of a big deal. And when it comes to raw GDP, the USA is, once again, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. We're talking trillions, people, with a T. That's enough money to buy like a small planet or maybe a slightly used yacht for Jeff Bezos. The point is they've got a lot of it. And where does all that money come from? Well, pretty much everywhere, from tech giants like Apple and Amazon to entertainment behemoths like Disney and, whatever the hell Elon Musk is doing these days. The US economy is a well-oiled or perhaps poorly regulated machine. But don't think for a second that Canada is just sitting there with its toque in hand, begging for scraps. Oh no, they've got their own economic engine humming along nicely, thank you very much. They're a global leader in natural resources with vast reserves of oil, lumber, and of course maple syrup. Plus, they've got a surprisingly robust tech sector of their own, with companies like Shopify and Hootsuite making waves on the international stage. And let's not forget about their universal healthcare system, which, aside from being a moral imperative, also happens to be a pretty savvy economic move. After all, a healthy workforce is a productive workforce. So, while the USA might have the bigger wallet, Canada's got that whole fiscal responsibility thing down pat. It's like the responsible friend in the group who always remembers to split the bill evenly, even after you've ordered 3 extra appetizers and that ridiculously overpriced bottle of wine. You know who you are. Okay, let's be real. In the 21st century, being a global powerhouse isn't just about bombs and banks, it's about bits and bytes, algorithms and AI, and frankly, things I only vaguely understand despite spending an unhealthy amount of time on the internet. And when it comes to technological innovation, well, it's hard to deny the US's dominance. This is the country that gave us the internet, the smartphone, and those little robot vacuums that bump around your living room like confused, dust-sucking Roombas. From Silicon Valley to the research labs of MIT, the US is a hotbed of technological advancement, constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible. They've got self-driving cars, commercial space travel, and enough computing power to make Skynet look like a TI-83 calculator. But Canada, ever the overachieving younger sibling, isn't exactly a slouch in the tech department either. They've made significant contributions in fields like artificial intelligence, clean energy, and of course, anything involving extremely cold weather. I mean, who else is going to invent those self-heating parkas that keep you toasty at negative 40 degrees? Plus, let's not forget about Canadian contributions to the internet as we know and love it. I mean, where would we be without the GIF, the brainchild of Canadian computer scientist Steve Wilhite? Living in a world devoid of dancing babies and looping images of cats? Frankly, I don't even want to imagine such a bleak existence. So while the US might be the reigning champion of tech innovation, Canada is right there with them, quietly building a brighter, more efficient, and infinitely more GIF-filled future. Okay, so far we've established that both the USA and Canada are forces to be reckoned with on the world stage. But here's the thing. What good is all that power and money if your citizens are too busy stressing about healthcare bills or student loan debt to actually enjoy it? And when it comes to quality of life, well, let's just say things get a little more nuanced. Because how do you even begin to quantify something as subjective as happiness? Do you measure it in smiles per capita, number of national parks visited, average time spent stuck in traffic on the 405 freeway? Spoiler alert, it's a lot. But let's start with the elephant in the room, shall we? Healthcare. Specifically the fact that Canada has a universal healthcare system and the USA, well, doesn't. Now I know, this is a topic that can get people more riled up than a moose during mating season, but the fact remains, Canadians don't have to worry about going bankrupt if they get sick. They can go to the doctor, get the care they need, and not have to choose between paying their rent or filling a prescription. Meanwhile, in the US, well, let's just say the healthcare system is about as fun as a root canal. And don't even get me started on education. Canada consistently ranks among the most educated countries in the world, with a highly skilled workforce and a deep commitment to public education. The US, on the other hand, well, let's just say they've got some work to do. And then there's the whole work-life balance thing. Canadians are known for their love of the great outdoors, their emphasis on family time, and their general air of, dare I say it, contentment. Americans, on the other hand, are more likely to be found glued to their smartphones, working longer hours, and generally existing in a state of low-grade panic. So, while the US might have the edge in terms of sheer economic might, when it comes to actually enjoying the fruits of their labor, Canadians might just be onto something with their whole lives slow, eh? Approach to life. Alright, final round, folks. We've covered military might, economic power, technological prowess, and even the elusive quality of life. But there's one last crucial factor to consider when determining which country reigns supreme global influence. Because in the grand scheme of things, it's not just about how strong you are at home, it's about how you project that strength on the world stage. And let's be real, when it comes to global influence, the USA is kinda like that friend who always insists on being the center of attention at a party. They're loud, they're brash, and they have a tendency to accidentally knock things over after one too many tequila shots, but you can't deny that they know how to command a room. From their military bases scattered across the globe to their pop culture exports that permeate every corner of the planet, the US has an undeniable impact on the world. But Canada, with its quiet diplomacy, its commitment to multilateralism, and its general reputation as America's nicer, more reasonable neighbor, exerts its own unique brand of influence. They're like the designated driver of the international community, always there to offer a helping hand and a sober perspective. Plus, let's not forget the sheer soft power of Canadian icons like Justin Trudeau, Celine Dion, and of course Ryan Reynolds. I mean, who wouldn't want to be best friends with Canada? They seem lovely. So, while the US might still hold the title of global superpower, Canada is quietly building bridges, fostering relationships, and generally making the world a slightly more polite and agreeable place, one diplomatic summit and heartfelt ballad at a time. So, there you have it, folks, the ultimate showdown between the USA and Canada. We've crunched the numbers, we've analyzed the data, we've even resorted to some highly subjective and frankly questionable comparisons involving moose and tequila shots. And the verdict is, well, it's complicated because the truth is both countries have their strengths and weaknesses. The US, with its economic might and military power, is undoubtedly a force to be reckoned with. But Canada, with its commitment to social welfare, its technological innovation, and its general air of niceness, offers a compelling alternative vision of what a strong and prosperous nation can look like. Ultimately, the question of who is stronger is a bit like asking who would win in a fight between a grizzly bear and a silverback gorilla. Sure, on paper, one might seem to have the advantage, but in reality, it's a matchup that would likely end in a lot of noise, a fair bit of collateral damage, and no clear winner. So instead of trying to crown a champion, let's just appreciate both countries for the unique and valuable contributions they make to the world. And maybe, just maybe, we can all learn a thing or two from each other along the way, like maybe the US could stand to be a little more polite and Canada could loosen up and embrace the occasional tequila shot. Just a thought.